Hey there and welcome to Dark Blue Nutrition. My name is Katie, I'm a dietitian and personal trainer, and today we are going to talk about 5 words that you should ditch from your vocabulary for a better relationship with food. If you've been on this channel for a while now, you'll know that I am all about finding that healthier relationship with food, and a huge part of it is actually how we speak to ourselves. Unfortunately, how we speak to ourselves has a lot to do with factors that kind of go outside ourselves, such as our environment, the people we're around, social media, different things like that can all factor into the way we talk to ourselves. But ultimately, we do have control over our own vocabulary that we choose to accept or reject. So I'm super excited to talk about this topic. The first word / phrase is cheat meal or cheat foods. I have another video on this topic, so if you want to go way more in depth on a full video, I have a video about why cheat meals are counterproductive to your success. So here's the thing with cheat meals. When we put something as off limits or say that we can only have it at certain times, then our body goes into a Last Supper mentality. Let's just say pizza is off limits for you. Anytime that you have pizza, that you actually allow yourself to have pizza, say it's a cheat meal or a cheat day for you, you're gonna go all out because you know that you can't have pizza until your next cheat day or cheat meal. So it kind of encourages this behavior of binging and then restricting, and then binging and restricting. When you have something restricted from you, your body naturally wants to go against that and fight against it and get you more, because your body is honestly just looking out for you. It's a totally normal thing for it to do, but we kind of start to feel out of control with food when we have this cycle that feels endless of binging and restricting. But really, the best thing that we can do is actually allow this food at any time. So when we come across that food, we aren't feeling this urgency and this need to have excessive amounts of it and binge on it. So in my opinion, cheat meals or cheat days should be completely nixed from your vocabulary. I would give a swap or a different word for a cheat meal or a cheat day, but I would just call it a day if I had to give a swap for it. Every day is an opportunity to eat all of the foods you love, and the more that you allow all foods to fit, you won't have to fight against the foods that you love. You'll just gradually incorporate them into different meals. And hey, if you're struggling and you want one-on-one support, I work with one-on-one clients. I have tons of dietitian friends that work with one-on-one clients. We can help hook you up with the right type of support that you deserve. So don't do this alone. The next thing is kind of similar to cheat meals, but not exactly the same, and that's calling foods good and bad. So same type of reasoning for cheat meals is when we call foods good and we call foods bad, we're kind of putting them on this moral superiority pedestal. So when we have a salad or something that's deemed as nutritious or nutritionally balanced, we feel good about ourselves. And then when we have foods that are not quite so nutritionally dense, we feel excessive amounts of guilt and shame around them, which can actually lead to more binge eating, hiding foods, eating disorders, or even just disordered eating habits. My hair cannot get out of my face today. So the way that we can neutralize the words good and bad, because I know it's just so ingrained, I even do it sometimes where I kind of have that label about foods, good or bad. And I think we can just be a little more objective about it. So if I'm having a Pop-Tart, let's just say, I can be honest with myself and say, okay, well, this food is not exactly the most nutritionally dense food, but I enjoy it and I'm having it in the portion that I see as fit for this moment, and I feel good about that. So be objectively aware, but non-judgmental about your decision and your choice. And then when you're having a food that is more nutritionally dense, same thing. Be as objective as possible. I recognize that this meal is super nutritionally dense, and that is great. I'm so happy to fuel my body, and I love when I have a mix of foods to fuel in my body, because then I feel satisfied and full, but I also feel like I'm fueling my exercises, fueling my daily activity. So you can absolutely be honest with yourself about whether a food is nutritionally dense or not nutritionally dense, but I think the important factor here is the judgment that you hold around the food being nutritionally dense or not nutritionally dense. So I think just finding a way to reassure yourself that it's okay to have a mix of foods and that it's completely normal to crave a variety of foods, that's the number one thing that I want to drive home here. The next word or phrase that I think you should completely ditch from your vocabulary is clean eating, or clean foods, or clean when it describes anything to do with our diet. I want to start by saying that just like the word natural, clean doesn't really have any solid definition. The word clean really doesn't describe anything about food unless you're describing that an apple is dirty or clean. It doesn't mean that it's morally more superior or less superior or anything like that. I think it's just another way for people to describe foods to kind of make it sound sexy and make it sound like it's the right thing to do. I most often see it when it's talked about detoxing or something that excludes carbohydrates. So that's one of the biggest things about it that I just really don't like, is that it seems to be more of like a badge of honor that you eat clean and that you have this amazing diet. And I don't think that that's helpful for our relationship with food or helpful for us saying it to the world and spreading that feeling of insecurity around food. The fourth phrase that I think you should completely ditch from your vocabulary is skinny blank. Now this one is tough because, for example, at Starbucks, sometimes I get a sugar-free vanilla, sometimes I get the regular vanilla and just have a few less pumps, just because I don't like a super sweet drink. Nothing morally wrong with having the drink, it's just that I prefer it that way. But if you notice on Starbucks' menu, they have a skinny latte, and that's what they call it. And I really, really hate that because I think it just adds that level of, if you're having a regular drink, you're not skinny or you're not making the right decision. It kind of puts that moral agenda on food, and I really, really hate it. So one thing I've been really trying to do to get away from that is to not purchase things that have the word skinny on them, or at very least, like for example, Skinny Pop. I actually kind of like the popcorn, just how it tastes, but maybe mentioning something to the company or DMing the company, calling them out on Twitter, not in a mean way, just like in an honest, transparent, and open way, and have a conversation about how that can affect people's view of the foods, view of themselves, and how they choose certain foods. Money talks, and I think that where you put your money is where the marketing can go. So if we step away and pull away from companies that are having this very manipulative marketing, then we can hopefully be one step closer to change when it comes to how food is marketed to us. The last one is a little bit more mild, but it's still one that I think it is important to talk about, and that is superfoods. So superfoods, like a lot of these words, doesn't really have a solid scientific definition to it. It's just kind of a word that gets flopped around there and really doesn't have any sort of scientific basis to it. And usually a superfood is used to describe a more exotic fruit or vegetable that has a high amount of nutrition density to it. So it has a lot of vitamins and minerals in it, and it has maybe some extra benefits that it can offer you. Not to say there's anything really wrong with superfoods in general or foods that we deem as superfoods. It's just that it's not that super helpful to us. It can also make people who maybe have less of an ability to afford superfoods feel like they can't be healthy unless they buy this supplement or this powder or this specific food that is deemed to be a superfood that ends up being like $4 per piece of fruit. It just makes health seem that much more unattainable to people who are maybe trying to eat healthier but don't know where to start, and then they just see all these articles about superfoods and how they are the #1 thing that you should do to change your health. You can change your health with very, very affordable produce. You can change your health with affordable sources of protein. It really doesn't have to be a supplement or something that's super duper expensive. So that's the #1 reason why I don't love the word superfood being thrown around, because I think it can make it seem that much more attainable for us to be healthy when we deem these exotic fruits that are super, super expensive to be the end-all be-all of health. We don't need to focus so much on needing to have them every single day as a part of our diet to really transform our relationship with food. I think that's a romantic idea, and I totally get the marketing behind that, but I don't think for the general public that it's super helpful and really making an impact on our health and well-being. Leave any questions or comments in the comment section below and let me know, what phrase will you be ditching from your vocabulary this week? Let me know, and I'm so excited to chat with you, and I will leave some videos that you will love in the end card and the description box below. Thanks so much for hanging out today, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.